but I think Super Simon will like it too. It goes like this. More than words to show you feel that your love for me is real. What would you do if you subscribe to this bullshit podcast? More than words to show you feel that your love for me is real. What would you say?
Fuck this podcast.
Fuck this podcast.
Fuck this podcast. Awesome. Shall we do the introduction?
Let's do it. Welcome to Invert the Why Podcast, episode 7. Now listen, if the devil was 6, then God is 7. According to the Pixies.
According to the Pixies.
This monkey has gone to heaven off Doolittle. Check it out, 1988. Invert the Why Podcast. I can't believe it's episode 7. My fucking God.
This is seriously the longest we've ever had anything.
I've had no ambition my whole life, but fuck, all of a sudden, I'm sprinting to the end of the line like the marathon that I'm running.
I've been listening since episode 1, and I have to say, I'm shocked that you fuckers have kept it going this long. As loyal listener number 3.
Yeah,
well done there.
One
Thanks
of the 2 listeners. We'll introduce you now. I am joined, as always, by my brother-in-arms, Jason Relaxation, but we do have a special guest today. We've got Super Simon.
Hello, everybody.
He's one of the 2 listeners that bothers to listen to this shit, and I'm glad that he's joined us today. Thank you for coming in.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And we had a nice plate of fairy bread before we started the show, didn't we?
Superb. That bread was so fresh, and those sprinkles were
not so fresh,
so crispy.
Yes.
Do you know why? Do you know why, Super Simon?
Why is that?
Because this is the only podcast sponsored by their mother and the only podcast on the internet powered by the love of fairy bread.
I like it.
That fairy bread is made with love. I can assure you of that.
Is that why I was so salty?
Yeah, that were the tears that I cried. The tears of disappointment.
The
tears of disappointment.
And the tears are in inverted commas.
And rejection. And
self-loathing.
We could go on.
And fatigue.
Fuck.
And that desire to just go to bed.
Oh.
Just go off into sleep in a really nice, comfy way. Am I right? You know what I'm talking about.
I usually cry myself to sleep every night.
There you go. See?
And I wake up and the pillow's all soggy.
That's because you watch too much Instagram, mate.
Now listen.
Tell us about the maid.
Now listen, there's been developments with a maid. That's another little... Now, did I not show you before we came on air about the maid lady?
You did indeed, and I can confirm that she does in fact exist.
And she plays Twister.
Which is fascinating.
Yep, she's out of control, the maid lady.
This is the thing that people are spending their money on nowadays, is they're seeing a young woman online streaming herself playing Twister.
Yeah, but you know why?
Also streaming herself.
Yeah, but you know why, Super Simon? I'll tell you why.
Go on.
Because she says, you're cute.
Oh, you're cute.
You're cute. And then you sit there and you go, I ruined my roommate's bathroom.
She thinks I'm cute.
That's right. And I do it for the buttocks. She's got those buttocks.
Speaking of bare buttocks, mate, how was your week?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Well, the only person that knows this story is Pedro, friend of the show. Shout out to Pedro.
What's up, Pedro?
Because I was late to get on to the Master Chief collection last night, and Pedro's like, what the fuck's going on? And I'll tell you what happened. So last night we had a thunderstorm, as we quite often do in this part of the world, and what happened was I lost power.
Which, again, happens pretty frequently in this part of the world.
Well,
welcome to Australia where nothing works.
Elon Musk, get on that shit, mate.
Here's what happened. I'll give you the hot tip. This happened when I was in the shower. And it's not my normal shower because if you remember, the other shower that I normally
Turned
use,
into an aquarium.
it's an aquamarine fucking park.
It's Wet
And I can
Wild
charge.
Mark II.
It is. I could charge. I put the waterworks to shame. I'll give you the hot tip. And the thing.
Oh my
was-
God, Manly Waterworks.
Do you remember the waterworks?
I do. You just triggered
Yeah,
that.
well, mate, this brain never left the 80s. It's still transported back in those times, and I don't. When I drive my car, you know what I hear? I don't hear the sound of that German engineering. I hear the sound of spokey dokies in the fucking wheels. Because if you remember in the 80s, if you're rich,
Yeah, you had
you're a
spokey
rich
dokies
kid.
on your
You
house.
had
Spokey
spokey
dokies.
dokies on, but if you're poor,
But-
you had a card on a peg,
Oh yeah.
and it hit.
Did you, however, or rather, do you, however, drive with your stack hat on?
I do because I'm
probably
afraid of the
should.
birds. Because I've never forgotten that story because Gary the Asian fucked me up for life. Shout out to Gary the
Scarred
Asian. I don't
for
know where
life.
he is. So, no, the story is I was having a shower in the other shower, not the one I'm familiar with. I never use this other shower. And the lights went off. And I went, okay, I can handle that. I'm a big boy. And I was going to call for mum, but fuck it, that's a bit weird when you get to our age. But I turned the taps off and I broke one of the taps. That's a fucking sign in there in itself.
Yeah, quality craftsmanship.
Oh, they slapped them together. I can imagine go, oh, not problem. Oh, it's a fucking problem. No money, demonetized. It's over. It's done.
Sorry, we'll edit that bit out. Right?
Nope.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck this podcast. And the other thing
That's what you should have.
How
called
many
it.
F-bombs
Instead of
have we
Invert
got?
The Why, it should
Hey,
have been called
listen.
Fuck this podcast.
well, there's a bit of that 20 F-bombs that's already hit.
Yep.
And I'm telling you now, mum will not be impressed.
See, I was going to put a counter on the screen for every F-bomb in YouTube, but then it just got too fucking hard. Yeah, it's just too many F-bombs.
when you've got the counter taking over all of the space
the
on
whole
on
screen.
Oh.
That's it.
So anyway, I'm in the
Fucking
shower.
tick,
Tick, tick. Oh, it's out of control.
fuck,
you know what
fuck.
it's like? You remember the old telethons back in the 80s to raise money?
When you had Larry Emder hosting.
Larry Emder's like, come on, if we hit $1 million, we'll save the kids. We should do it for charity. The more F-bombs we drop, we're doing it for the kids.
It's like
We're doing it.
Think
for
of the
every
children.
Think of the
F-bomb we
children.
Drop, you donate 1 cent, and by the end we will have raised
$1 million.
We'll do it, and we'll get a band in. We'll get Sexual Chocolate in. Remember, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let the children play. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Anyway, I was in the shower. The lights went off, and I thought I can do with that. And I walked out, and I'm not. This is no bullshit. I walked out, and so the cat, he's like the fucking predator. Because he matches the carpet,
Yeah, you
he
can't
matches
see the fucking thing.
he matches the furniture and the colour of the carpet,
wow.
and he's like the predator. So the lights were off, and so he's hiding.
It's about as much
and
of a
I'm
prick
walking,
as a predator as well.
Yeah, and I'm walking. That's it. Anytime. And so I'm walking, trying to negotiate the landmines of the darkened house, and I had a towel wrapped around me because you just never know.
Also,
Right.
you'd just gotten out of the shower.
So
we would assume that you. Have
Nah,
got
fuck it.
out.
Sometimes I
but
just
true.
do the
You know what?
dirty run. I
That
don't
was
give
that was a
fuck.
mistake I made. I should
Yeah,
not have
nah.
assumed. Not a wise.
No, but in my aging years when I've been known to sleepwalk, and you end up at the bus station. Actually, that's another story. One time I woke up at the barracks at where's the barracks? The army barracks at that place near Liverpool.
You walked to Minto?
No, I woke up. I'd had a big night. That's another story. I won't get there. But shout out to Pedro because he knows what I'm talking about. We woke up at the army, Holdsworthy.
Holdsworthy.
We woke up at no bullshit. We woke up there and this army guy comes up to us. He says, "Can I help you?" And we're like, "We're looking for a train." He goes, "Well, you're not near a train station, son. I'm telling you now." That's a mini rant. That's also a confessional, but I won't get there. So anyway, I walked out of the shower and it was dark, and the cat pounced on me because I had the towel. Because anything that's flapping,
Right.
he'll grab, and I suffered a bit of an injury
Wow.
in certain places that I don't want to talk about. So that was my fucking wonderful night. And Pedro's like, "Well, when are you getting on Halo?" I go, "I don't know. I've got to sort myself out.
Finish banding
I've got
up
to bandage up. I've got to, And then I thought, it's a bit weird. The cat's looked at me in the nude. That's a bit weird.
Your cat has now seen you.
He's seen me
in the hole as
Yeah.
God intended.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really cool. We got this I looked at him a bit weird this morning. He looked at me weird, and it was like the relationship's changed.
Are you still looking at each other in the eyes?
Sort of, but
That's where it becomes awkward.
it's got a bit weird. So I said, fuck him. I left him. I left him this morning. I put the air conditioner on, filled it up full of kitty food, and I said, off we go. I'll see you later. It's about
He gets home tonight. The cat's just left him a note and said, I can't do this anymore. I've left you 2 weeks rent.
I'll tell you a story about
Get
that.
some help.
I'll tell you a story. Many, many years ago, I used to crash at Pedro's place a few times after a heavy night, and to fuck with each other. You know what we used to do? We used to write a little letter on the breakfast bar saying you were great and leave $5 on the counter and fuck off. And then you get a random phone call going, "Oh, you made me feel cheap." That's true. So that was my rather interesting night last night. But the rest of the week was basically, dealing with the Aquamarine Park, the waterworks. Fuck that house. Anyway, that's another story.
I think you got to move, mate. I hear that there's some really nice space under the bridge.
Well, you know what? I could under
Cardboard
the bridge
boxes are going fairly cheap in Sydney.
It's about the only thing you can afford, though.
I mean, Sydney real estate, forget that.
Yeah.
Well, I could live under a bridge. That's where I drew some blood. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh, idiots. So, you've seen The Maid Lady. You've been initiated. You've had the fairy bread. Super Simon, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being the one listener or the two listeners that we have.
You guys always said to the two listeners...
and you were allowed to.
He felt special.
I thought,
I'm
they're
one.
talking to me.
They're talking to
I'm him. So now I'm a little worried that the viewership for this week is going to go down by one.
Yeah, we're fucked.
You're not going to need to listen to it.
We're fucked. I've already made some racist comment. We're in the real shit.
You're in the right house.
That's it. Well, we're in our mum's basement.
I didn't know your mum was Chinese.
No.
We didn't either. Fuck. I'm very confused. Who is she? Who is that lady that serves us food?
Oh, dear.
Hey, listen, before we get started to the show, we actually do have a topic of the show this week, and we do have a random access memory coming up.
Can you believe that we're that organised?
We are really organised this week, but I do have a show and tell. Are you ready? Because
mate, I've been waiting for this fucking
Jason Relaxation hasn't seen it, and Super Simon hasn't seen it, and I'm a little bit worried. I think you can deal with it, Jason Relaxation. I think you can cope with it. I'm telling you now. You'll go, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. But Super Simon, I don't know that well, and I'm worried that he's going to go, oh, I'm fucking leaving.
This is going to be an All Saints. Saints Row the 4th, right? This is going to be the 10-foot dildo sword.
Yeah, this is worse, dude.
Bring it. I'm ready.
Are you
My
ready?
body is ready.
Are you ready for this?
Prepared.
Shit? Let me open up the bag.
Should I cover my eyes?
We need some music. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I'll edit that shit in later.
Can you edit that in? Okay, let's do that. Okay, so here's the first one.
I'll write a new jingle.
That's what we need to counter for, is the number of times you say, I'll edit that.
Now listen, I bring this in for two reasons. One, don't fucking peek. I'm telling you now, this is not as awesome as the Eagle Transporter from Space 1999. And I'll tell you something else. Now, I eBayed that. You know how much an Eagle Transporter is from Space 1999? $369. That's the cheapest I can see it.
You should play.
No,
sell 2 PlayStation 4s, and then you're sorted.
But I want my PlayStation 4s. Now, I do this with a heavy heart, but I do it also. I'm trying to self-improve. I'm actually trying to improve my life, right? Because my life is.
I don't mean to laugh.
I just nearly puked in my mouth.
Because I'm ready to write the book. My life as a fuck up, right? So this, I give you this because I think it'll add to the set that we have that in this wonderful mum's basement.
You mean the junk shit that we have lying around everywhere?
Yeah, this will just add to it. Yeah. But there is a little mini RAM to it, and I'm going to get a phone call if he sees it. But fuck him, he deserves it. Shout out to Pedro. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay, I bought into this show for the 2 people that are listening on the audio. Are you ready? I'm nervous. My Robotech dolls.
Wow.
Right, that's the Lisa Hayes doll. They're dusty.
Mate, look at that.
Yeah. Now, there's a story with that one.
Wow, and they're made by Matchbox.
Yeah, they're no joke. And this is the Dana Sterling one.
So Dana Sterling, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Let's put Dana right here.
Yeah. Now, this is no joke. This is real.
Her up.
Now
And
these
then
are
we've got Lisa Hayes.
Yep.
Oh, fuck
Let's
me.
get the,
These are
let's get the Game Boy
collectibles.
out of the way.
these are
They're
collectibles.
collectibles for a special kind of kid.
That's right. And I don't want to be that special person anymore. Now, here's the story, right? For the people that are listening on the audio, and I hope you are listening on the audio, don't watch this shit on YouTube. What I've presented to Jason Relaxation for the set is 2 Robotech, I'm going to call them dolls, even though at the time I called them action figurines. They're fucking
They're
dolls.
fucking...
No. So
these are dolls.
Here's the definition. If it has realistic hair, it's a doll.
Let me get to it. Because this is where the story really takes off. Right?
Hit me with it. 'Cause
Okay.
I am just
Okay.
amazed.
This is a mini RAM. This is not the RAM. This is the mini RAM.
I'll put a shorter jingle in.
Can I roll the fucking jingle, monkeys? Ready? Oh, that's the fucking maid lady.
Is that the maid lady
Oh,
posting
yeah.
some...
Shit, yes.
Can I just read this out?
Yeah, please do.
Contents: 11.5-inch Lisa Hayes doll, dress uniform, jacket, green shoes, not just shoes, green shoes.
Yep.
Duty roster,
Yep.
headset,
Yep.
comb and brush.
Okay, let me tell you the story about
That's
that.
a doll.
That, for all intents purposes, is a doll.
Let me tell you the story. Can I tell you the mini RAM?
Do it.
So I got these in 1994 at a Sheriff's mini car. Do you remember Sheriff mini
I
cars?
remember Sheriff's Mini
There's
Car.
only-
They're up on... Was it not High Street? What was the other street that runs parallel?
They're gone now.
Yeah, they're long
There's
gone.
one-
Oh, long gone.
Sheriff mini car.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
one. There's
there's-
one in the city. Apparently, I looked it up on the web, and it's a big shop. You should take the kids there because
Oh, shit, no. We're going to... No, fuck that. That'll cost me too much money.
all right. But here's the story. Back
Not
in
for them. Fuck them. These are my
amazed.
toys.
okay, back in the day,
Right.
this shop was opposite or very close to the famous Games Wizard shop that I've told many stories about. Fuck off, Fallout 4 head. Just fuck off, Fallout 4. Just in general. Fuck. Why is he being so difficult?
Just fucking throw it. I don't give a shit.
Okay, there we go. So here's the story. This is the mini RAM, not the real RAM.
Gotcha.
So I got these in 1994 in a moments of weakness because I saw them, and at that time I was collecting a heap of shit in regards to Robotech.
Right.
And I love Robotech. I love the anime. I love all animes actually, but Robotech in the very early to mid 90s was one of my favorite animes. And I'll talk about Robotech another time. I don't think we'll do it today. And so anyway, I bought these and I went and I bought these with Pedro, friend of the show. Now you can imagine where this is going. So we got them home and Mum looked at them and she said, "You just bought dolls." You can imagine that she...
Which only is more justified by the fact that we both just called
Yeah.
them dolls.
So she's now in an absolute bit of despair.
fucked up.
No, fuck.
I thought I was a complete
No.
fucking waste of space.
No, I'm
And
fucked.
this cockhead has gone.
It gets worse, dude. It gets worse. It gets worse.
Oh, shit.
It gets worse. This is
It gets worse. It
This
gets
is a
worse.
confessional. This is the church where I when
it
I
just
go up
choked
to
on some vomit.
when I go up to the pearly gates and I give the friggin' pearly gate person the bloody Lotus 123 spreadsheet of the shit I've ever done. This is part of it. There she goes again. The Instagram maid lady is going off. Sit over there and vibrate on that. Anyway. So the thing is, we bought these 2 dolls
Right.
in 1994, and Pedro, I think, might have been with me. Now
And
he
by,
came,
by the way, you guys were, what, 18 at this point?
1994. I was 24.
No.
No, I was 20. I was 19. I was 19.
Let's
What am I
not
saying?
judge, lest ye be judged. I don't know. I'm Jewish. I don't understand what fucking scripture is. The point I'm making
No,
is don't
90,
judge a man for buying
94.
collectibles.
94.
you know.
I was 19.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a grown ass man.
You said 99 though.
94. 94. I bought these.
94. Okay.
Okay, and 94 is when I really got into Robotech big time.
Gotcha.
And we bought these. I bought these at a Sheriff mini car shop. Now here's the story. Here's the mini RAM story. Bought them back home. Mum's seen them and gone, "I fucking give up. I'm done." Right.
Hopes of
Pedro-
grandchildren through the
But
floor.
this is where it gets really fucked up. So Pedro's looked at them and goes, "I think they're awesome." And anyway, can I direct your attention to something, please? See, Lisa Hayes' hair is actually made up.
Yep.
Now, originally it wasn't. It was in a band.
No.
Pedro took...
You opened the box.
No, I fucking didn't. Pedro did. He says...
son of a bitch.
He goes, I have to pull out, doll out and make her hair look nicer. And he sat there and he got the fake comb in that box and he made her hair up. That's a fucking confessional. Oh, that's the biggest confessional I'll ever say. Two
Pedro.
20-year-old men were playing with dolls, and we pulled that Lisa Hayes doll out, and we made her hair up. And I dare say we had a crack at Dana Sterling as well. That's how we roll. We don't fucking do things by halves.
I don't know if this will come up on the footage, but Dana Sterling's hair is in a beautiful blonde.
So
it's really quite something.
I'm gonna tweet that pic a little bit later on because I think it's totally worthwhile.
100%.
No, you don't tweet this shit. I've just put it on the internet. That's enough.
Robotech.
Robotech.
Well, that is Robotech. But the point is that see how her hair's a bit made up?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lisa Hayes' one. That's because Pedro took it out of the pack because originally there was like a plastic band around her head.
Yeah. And
he says, no, we have to make her up. I said, what are you fucking talking about, dude? I thought I'd done enough. To buy this shit. Oh, no. He got the fucking thing out of the box and he took the band off and then there's a comb in there somewhere and he got the comb and he started to comb her hair. That's the time I played with dolls. I fucking said it. And it's like the biggest relief.
So I'm speechless and that never happens.
Having listened to this show, known Jason Relaxation for a good amount of time, and now meeting you, I am not at all surprised. Like, not even tiny bit.
I don't know if I'm ashamed or happy to hear that. I don't know.
It's a combination of the two.
So that's my show and tell, and that's probably, that could also be a ram, but it's not the ram for today.
That's not the ram for today. I'm utterly speechless. Not so much as you bought the dolls, but the fact that Pedro, of all people, because knowing his background and his occupation at the time, that is utterly disturbing.
Well, I'm not going to say what he did. I'm not going to say what he did. I'm not going to say what he did for a living.
We can take that offline. Right?
No, I'm not going to. We'll tell you offline.
We'll fill you in. It'll just make it even funnier.
When we're done with this fucking bullshit podcast, we'll go up and have some more fairy bread, and I'll tell you, Super Simon, what actually he did for a living. Sounds but I'm not saying it, and that will make the context even more bizarre. It was a very strange afternoon.
So what's today's ram?
Yeah, what's the ram?
What's the actual ram?
Will you roll the monkey jingle?
I'll roll that motherfucker.
Well, I flip-flop, but I'm going to go back to the 80s again. I had one ready for the 90s.
You've changed your mind?
I've changed my fucking mind again. We're going back to 1984. And I have to apologise.
You did a P-RAM reset.
I did a
P-RAM reset.
I RAM resetted. Now, I got to apologise for last week's RAM because I noticed that I said 85 and 84 and 85, 84. The Cannonball was 1984. Okay? This one's also 1984. A lot of shit happened in 1984. And this actually led before 1984. Okay? And so what used to happen, in 1984 I was in the fourth class, and I don't know why, but at some point they started teaching all of us kids to do barn dancing.
Oh, fuck.
No, I'm not fucking making that up.
Hang on.
Was it the heel toe poker?
It was heel toe, slide. Grab a girl and do-si-do.
I remember that. Jesus.
Yeah.
Heel toe.
I was born in 84, and I remember that.
So 84.
Shit. And speaking volumes.
No bullshit. We used to do that, I don't know, maybe at least once a week. And from memory, and I'm not sure, but from memory, it used to be on Thursdays. Our school was fucked up. You know,
mate. Let's face it, both of our schools were fucked up.
Both of them. But I'm not. But
like there's another ram for it. Our toxic waste of it.
Yeah.
There's a word I want to say, but I think it will lose another viewer.
Look. I've only fucking just scratched the surface. Our schools, both of them were fuck-ups.
Fucking shit.
Right, fuck it. And if anyone's listening and goes, no, that's not true. Your school was fantastic. No, bullshit. Fuck off. I won't hear it. So anyway, this is actually a bit of a tale of woe. It's not a happy ram. This is a bit of a sad ram.
Yeah.
I'm bringing the fucking thing down.
Oh.
But this is also leading, because last week I said...
Terrible. I didn't sign up for this shit.
you signed up for funniness.
I wanted to come and laugh.
Oh, but you will laugh at my expense, but I'm fucking
okay.
still
I'm back
shouting
in.
about it.
I'm back in, ladies and gentlemen.
So, I will compare notes at some point with a certain person that has much more wider range of knowledge in regards to my prowess with the ladies, with a dating scene. This is the beginning
of the end
of rejection. Ooh. Right. So we used to do the heel toe, slide.
heel toe poker.
We used to call it barn dancing.
No, the heel toe poker was a dance inside.
Yeah, but
barn dance is like a genre.
Well, you couldn't put a fucking barn in the middle of the quadrangle at school, so they did the best
Mind you,
they
we
could.
did grow up in the fucking middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but you're being silly now. There was no fucking barn there.
No, there's
They
no
used to
barn
do it
there.
in the quadrangle.
Yeah, barn dancing was the type of dance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was,
But what you're referring to is the heel toe poker.
It wasn't necessarily restricted just to barns.
No, it was out of a barn. Gotcha. I can assure you of that. But there was no hay bales, but there was definitely some fucking web finger people out there. I'm telling you,
there was some rednecks.
There were some people that had webbing between their fingers.
Okay, I'm with you now.
They didn't have the full package, is what I'm saying. So anyway, I don't know how it started, but there used to be a girl that I always would dance with. And I don't know how it started, but she'd always say, Retro Dan, because even back in the 80s, I was Retro Dan. Because even back in the 80s, I'm not being funny, like 1984, I was like, fuck the 80s, the 70s were better. I was into it. I was like, fuck you people don't even know about Space 1999, because I'd go in there with my lunch going, have you seen Space 1999? They're like...
Was that with your Star Wars lunchbox?
Yeah. Hey, I knew a bloke who used to go to work with a fucking Star Wars lunchbox.
I reckon he still does.
Yep.
If he's listening, he knows who he is. He's one of the 2 listeners, and I think he'd probably answer that. Probably get a text message going, I fucking still do. But here's the thing. I was like, even in the 80s, I was retro Dan. I'm like, fuck the 80s. The 70s were the shit. Because in the 70s, we used to play Pong, right? But anyway. Her name was Sophie. I don't know where she is. I don't give a fuck because she broke my heart.
There goes another listener.
Fuck it. I'm over it, mate.
She wasn't listening.
Oh,
She was watching on. She was
rejecting the.
She was declining the request.
I don't give a shit. She's not on my Facebook. I don't know anyone by the name of Sophie now, and I wish I kind of did because it sounds cool. But anyway, back in those days, I don't know how she was my little friend. I've got a rem about another little friend, but that's a fucking time she ran a bordello. I won't get there today. That's a true story. That's an unbelievable story. But
I definitely want to be here for that.
Yeah,
you'll have to.
Let's do that in the next podcast.
Let's do another. Yeah. That's another time.
Yeah.
Another time.
Not today.
I'm desperate
I can't to hear about the rejection of Sophie.
Okay, so we used to do the barn dancing every week. And always she had I think she had a twin sister, right?
That works well.
That's what prompted my memory because I told you about the neighbour this morning that I saw, and she had a twin, and I went, "Fuck, I remember how the twin stuff," you know. And so anyway, she would always say, "Let's go dance. You'll be my partner," because I used to try and make the boys talk. I think this was an exercise in the boys have to talk to girls and the girls have to talk to boys, because otherwise it was like, go fuck off. You know, even back then we weren't talking to each other. It was like, hey, whatever.
You've reverted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at that time, you know, I kind of wished I had learnt more back then, because I wouldn't have been so fascinated by the maid lady. I would have been like, fuck. But anyway.
Normal human.
I would have been a normal human being. Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't be trying to get into lawsuits for
exactly right.
for damages because his wrist doesn't work anymore.
That's right. And I wouldn't be spending
carpal tunnel syndrome.
That's right. Let's get into it. That's right. And I wouldn't be spending $20 a month to get the maid lady to be my friend. No, $20.
Oh, $20.
She's quite reasonable.
So this is just marriage with extra steps, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No.
You're just paying to see a person.
You don't listen. You didn't listen because she says, "You're cute." And then she says,
"Oh my god."
And then she says, "Do you want to be friends?" She kind of reminds me of those talking bears in the 80s. Remember Teddy Ruxbury?
Teddy Ruxbury, I've still got a Smarty Bear somewhere.
You had a Smarty Bear, and he goes...
I bought the new Teddy Ruxpin for my kids.
Oh, unreal.
It is creepy as
it's creepy.
fuck.
Yeah, it's creepy.
The eyes are LEDs now.
Oh, do they go bright red?
No, they don't. Like, they're blue.
Your mother
and-
sucks cocks.
No,
Your mother sucks cocks in hell. But honestly,
That
God,
would be an abuse of power, wouldn't it, Garrus?
this the problem is
You're all
when
gonna
you
die.
turn it off, its eyes are just clear, like soulless
Holes to
holes.
hell.
They literally look like
Is
a
it
hole
like
to
the
hell.
dude from Watch Dogs 2? Did you
Yes.
ever play...
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, okay, right, cool.
So
There
you
you go.
know how fucking creepy that
That was weird, man. That didn't make any sense.
Imagine that in an adorable talking bear that's gone to sleep. So what they do is they give you this little eye mask that you have to put over his head
So he doesn't crip the
so that
fuck
he
out
doesn't scare the shit out of your children.
of... Sounds like a design flaw.
It's seriously not good. Like, all they could have done was put one little set of, like, actuated eyelids
Now,
to
I'm-
close it off.
I reckon it would have been cool.
Cost cutting.
It would have been cool back in the day if they had made a Linda Blair doll. and they would have
The
had...
head
Yeah,
spins.
and it'd be like, you're all gonna die. Fuck you, priest. Fuck yeah. That would be an abuse of power, Garrus.
and it would have the add-on where you could pump pea soup into it.
Yeah.
And if you push the button, like, the head spins around real quick, and then it's just...
And they had on the box with real live action pee because remember she came down the stairs and she
walks
peed?
down the stairs, she pees herself.
And the mum says, "Oh, she's not feeling well." Well, darling, she's got the devil in her. I'm not
It's
being
that.
fucking
Then
funny.
when she walks backwards on her hands, crowd walks up the stairs. Still to this day, one of the most terrifying things.
It is a really, really freaky movie. That movie and the other one was for me as a kid growing up. Very sidetracked here, folks. Amityville Horror was a scary fucking movie too.
Yep.
And other movies that were kind of scary but not scary was like Nightmare on Elm Street. That was kind of a bit.
Freddy
wasn't
freaked me out.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, he was creepy. The concept of Freddy was what scared me. Is the whole going into dreams and killing you thing.
Yeah.
Like, Freddy himself, I could look at Freddy and he didn't terrify me.
Yeah.
But the thought of what he could do terrified me.
Yeah. And so, but Exorcist, to this day, there is something wrong about that. Because when you look at it, you'd go, there's no way, especially the uncut version.
Oh, yeah.
You'd go, there is no way that shit would be made today. There is no...
Wasn't that
No
also
way.
based on a true
It's allegedly based on a
true story? Because the guys from Ghost Adventures, one of our favorite
Oh,
shows.
fuck, that's awesome. Have you seen that show?
Mate,
No,
that...
what's Ghost
Oh,
Adventures?
shit.
Oh, Ghost Adventures.
Do we need to pause and do a detour?
No, fuck that. My Ram story shit this week.
We'll get back to it in a minute.
get back to it.
I need to introduce you to mate. When I was in Las Vegas last time, he's got his museum there. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go and check it out, but fuck, I wanted to badly. But yeah, basically, it's a team of dudes that go and do ghost hunting.
Oh, sweet.
But
I'm
but
all
it-
into
but they're
that
like-
shit.
they're
but-
ultra macho to start with.
Like
and then
Jackass.
then they run around like...
It's like Jackass.
It's great.
The very early, one of the very early episodes in the very first season, I think it was, he walks in and they go to a jail where Al Capone was allegedly being held.
Right.
And he walks in and he goes, "Did you just scratch me?" "Come on, man." And he's like a big muscly dude and he's like, "Come on, I'm not afraid of you. What are you, a pussy?" And he's deliberately taunting these fucking ghosts.
He's taunting.
Yeah, but
So it's ghost taunters.
yeah, but
love it.
the best shit is about this is that they hire mediums who apparently are the real thing, and they go, "Look, you guys should not be here. You guys should not lock yourself in the house
And you
after
sure as
midnight."
fuck should not be taunting.
Exactly.
ghosts.
They go, and this guy, no bullshit. I actually believe it because he was so frightened. He was either believing what he saw was real,
Or he was projecting into his own mind.
yeah, because he was not acting. He was frightened, and he actually claimed he got scratched by a demon because he had 3 claw marks. And he goes back the next day because they let him out the next day when the sun
they lock
rises.
him in.
They lock him in for the
overnight.
night, right?
Jesus.
And they always have a medium that walks around and gives them the history of the place they're staying in.
Right.
And the medium goes, "Oh, there was a murder here. There was this thing here, this thing," and then the medium.
This is
usually-
where the dog shat on the carpet.
yeah, but there's always a different medium because they get the expert for that region,
Right.
or that house, and the mediums will all say 9 times out of 10 the mediums go, "Look, you guys really shouldn't be doing this. And then the next day when they get released and
I told
all
you you
things,
shouldn't have gone in there.
yeah. And then they go, this one time, Zach, the big buff dude, who's the leader of this show, creator of the show, he says, oh, yeah, I got scratched by a demon last night, and the medium freaked out. She goes, what were you doing? Were you taunting this ghost? And he's like, oh, maybe I was. You know, like, but he was like, come on, are you a pussy? I'm not scared of you. Fuck you, ghost. And this was like a bad place where bad shit had happened.
To watch this show.
Ghost Adventures
This sounds
is...
amazing.
I'll pull it up later. It's
Ghost
fucking
Adventures is the shit. It's like Jackass meets Ghost Hunters. It's the fucking shit.
I am all into
Yeah,
that.
it is amazing show, right?
So, have you guys ever had a ghost experience?
I've had a ghost
I
experience.
have.
Yeah?
No bullshit. Yeah.
You had a creepy experience at a doctor's office once.
I've had two.
But that was just because he wasn't a doctor and asked him to take his pants off.
Yeah, that's right. That was weird.
And that was like creepy, but okay.
enjoyable at the same time.
But she said it was all right because she gave me a lollipop at the end of it.
And then she was never
No,
there.
no. I've had. This is a massive sidetrack, but I've had.
Fucking, your RAM is fucked.
My RAM is fucking lame. But I've been to two.
Let's keep going with this. This is a really good side
I've
tangent.
I've been to two mediums.
Yep.
This is no bullshit. And the first time I went, I was told by a very good friend of mine. She said, "Whatever you do, don't go in and actually say much about who you are.
Yeah.
Like, just answer their questions, but don't elaborate." Because I was very mindful of the whole
Cold reading shit.
Yeah, what was the Edwards?
It's all cold reading.
Yeah, crossing over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
the
He
one.
got caught out for basically
Cold reading is fucking full of shit.
Yeah.
So
It's like, it started with an A, B, C,
Yeah.
D, E, F, F,
Yeah, yeah,
F,
yeah.
F. It started with an F.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god, that's amazing! He's so psychic.
You've lost someone that's a male. Yo.
He was a male.
Oh no! No, so I went into this place and I went in and I was like a real.
He did wear hats. Sorry, I'm done.
My is a fuck podcast. Episode 7, folks. There won't be an 8.
I'm sorry, please. You
So
went in.
I went in. We will get back to the RAM, but the RAM is so lame now. Now I went into. Jason knows this story, but I don't know why. I went to a medium, and I sat down in this really small room, and she was quite a small woman. She wasn't a large woman.
That's the thing
Right.
with mediums. They're always
They look-
strangely proportioned people. They're always really little,
Yeah, but
really wide,
Well, let me-
or like super tall.
But let me tell you, when she started giving me some kind of background as to what was going on and what she thought was going to happen, she looked like fucking Darth Vader, man. She looked huge. And I went in there and I didn't say anything about anything. And she basically gave me a couple of things that I thought, yeah, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
But then she said some things that were like, holy fuck, how do you know that? You know? And I didn't take any stock into it at all. And then I went to a medium very recently, probably about a year ago. And I want to go again, actually. And I saw a completely different person. And I went in there and she basically repeated the same stuff verbatim that the first one had repeated. And she picked up on something, and without going into detail, I walked in and she went, "Oh, I've got this pain. Have you hurt yourself?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck!"
Ooh.
And I'm not going to go into it.
Fucking have you?
Yeah. And
huh.
she was like, "Oh, she goes, have you've been in an accident or something's not right with you?" And I'm like, "Fuck." And
It's the wrist.
I basically said the wrist.
Wait. Were you wearing the hand splint that day?
Yeah, well, the giveaway was the big cast on my fucking hand. But no, she basically repeated the same stuff word for word.
That's fine.
She basically gave me a very good insight into something that was going to happen that was about my job, and she was 100% right.
Jesus.
100%. Like, eerily. She said, "This is happening right now to you." And I went, yeah. And she's like, "Yeah, it's going to end like this and it's going to do really well." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And she said, "Oh, you travel quite a lot into the city. You go to this big building in the city and you have to see these people in this big building." And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, "Yeah, you have to go there for quite a long time. You have to do that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And again, without giving the background, I'll tell you off air. But I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing. And this is the biggest thing of all. And Jason Relaxation doesn't know this, but I'm telling the absolute truth. I went in there and she said, there's something you're going to do with your house, or one of your relatives is going to do with their house, and it involves being in a garage. I'm fucking not making this up.
Mum, hi.
Fuck.
Right?
Where are we now?
And she said, you're going to do like your own little thing as a business or as a hobby.
Does it make any money? Please tell me it does.
Yeah, that's why. No, I want to go back. I want to go back and talk to her because this blew my fucking mind. At the time, I was like, she's just pulling shit out of her ass.
Well, you know my story, right? When this is back in the day when I first started teaching. I went to a medium out there in Western Sydney, some fucking back end. Just walked into a shop, right? Because I was decorating my house at the time and I was just after, I don't know, some hippie shit. And this chick just pulled me aside, didn't charge me for the
hour?
For the hour, which is
normally
unusual.
They do.
Normally unusual for me.
Yeah, it's usually about $150.
About $150.
Yeah, it depends if you want the full service. I've been looking it up.
Yeah. So you don't have to look far,
mate. There's about one within 100 meters. Less across the driveway, dude.
No.
Yes.
She's got to be next week's guest.
I'm not fucking making this up.
She has got to be next week's guest.
This is coming into my house.
This is a true fucking story.
Directly across.
This is no bullshit. We pulled up one night. This is a while ago. And we pulled up at the front of my place, and there's a red light in the window. I'm not,
Shut up.
no fucking bullshit. And
pretty sure she's not meant to do that.
He started laughing. Because
I do. You live in a shit place, mate.
I live in a. It's a shit place.
There's a word.
And so,
Wow.
but here we go. No, this is, and it gets even better. This is a bit you don't know about.
Awesome.
And so
You found out a fees?
Yeah. No. I went there. No. I didn't go there. No. So we pulled up and there's a red light in the window, and he's gone, holy fuck, what's that? And I go, well, there's only one thing I can think of, and I
Roxanne,
you don't have to pull out the red light. So anyway, I let that slide. But here's the thing that's really, really not cool. Is about, I would say, 3 or 4 months ago, there was an incident at my place, and
you told me this story.
I told him this, and it ended. The cops came, and I didn't know about this. Other neighbours told me about this because I was like, "Oh, have you heard the bullshit that's going on with this other chick that's living there?" And he's like, one of the neighbours bailed me up and said, "Mate, you don't know fucking anything." He goes, "The cops were here." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Because they were fighting with knives in the driveway." And I said, "What the fuck?" And I said, "Well, listen, can I put out a theory to you?" This was with another neighbour who I very rarely speak to, by the way. And he said, "What's your theory?" I said, "She's a special lady, and she does
special hugs for
money.
special hugs.
And she gives special hugs to people." And you know what he said? 100%. He says, because I said, well, he goes,
because not only am I a nosy neighbour, I'm a client.
No, because, no, I'll fucking tell you something. I wouldn't fucking go there, even if you'd have to pay me millions of dollars, and even then I'd be like, but anyway, she lives across the driveway, no bullshit.
Yep.
And he goes, "How do you know?" And I said, "Well, look, I put 2 and 2 together and got 4.5 because I saw these guys coming in and out. And I thought they might have been her friends, but then I thought, no, there's a lot of them.
They're coming and going too
every
quickly.
15 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. And so anyway, he said, and then he said, but then he said, yeah, I got that too. I'll let it fucking slide. I'm trying to maintain this.
Simon's got a story to top this one.
I'm after you.
This podcast is off the rails. This has never happened. The Ram's taken a back seat, but this is a modern day Ram. So anyway, the neighbour says to me, "Well, why do you think this one and this other one were fighting? Because yesterday we're having dinner together." I go, "I'll tell you why." He goes, "Why?" I said, "Because this other one's a special lady too. She gives special hugs." He goes, "Bullshit." I go, "No." He goes, "How do you know?" I said, "Well, my brother and I came home one night. He dropped me home, and there was a red light, Roxanne, in the window. And I think what's happened is She says, stop stealing my clients. I'm fucking not making that up because the first one was there before. She had a clientele. And then the second one's moved in and she's taken the clientele from the first one because she's fucking ugly, so she has to charge less. But some people are not discerning like I am and they don't give a fuck. And they're like, I'm saving $50 and I get the same result. I'm telling you now, that's what's fucking happened. And so she's found, the first one's found out about it and the second one's gone, fuck you, bitch, because this is how I roll. I do whatever I want, right? And then, bam, they've had a knife fight in the driveway. You can see why I want to leave the Aquamarine Park that I currently reside in.
A knife fight in.
They had a knife fight.
That's not an expression you hear every day.
You do in Western Sydney.
Yeah, you do. They were fighting with knives.
Not in the sunny north where you're from, brother.
Dude.
There was a stabbing at a pub around the corner from me.
Yeah, it's
like
everywhere.
3 weeks ago.
Shit.
Not 3 weeks ago,
everywhere.
there was a stabbing in the leafy northern suburbs where I live.
Oh.
It's
All I
like,
can say is, thank God we have gun laws here. Imagine how fucked up this place would
oh
be.
God.
Anyway, let's talk about Disney and.
No, I think Simon
So,
needs to follow up.
On the similar vein of ladies for special cuddles, charging for special cuddles, for the longest time, I would get random messages at random times of the day and night for a good couple of years.
Did you know who the messages were from?
I knew who they were for.
But you didn't know who they were from.
No. Sometimes we would... Okay, so to give you the backstory...
And we try and keep names out of it, by the way.
Oh, I don't know any... There's no names.
No names, no. And no locations either.
Well, I'm going to give one specific location, but it's only relating to the story.
Okay.
So there is a lady who offers special cuddles for money in Adelaide, whose mobile number is 1 digit different to mine.
Oh, so you are really getting the numbers.
So instead of 0405, which is mine, hers was 0450. And these schmuck
Dyslexic.
Johns
Yeah.
were putting the wrong number in.
That's because they had their hand on their cock.
Because they're, it's super hard to
typing with
type
their left
numbers
hand.
one-handed. So...
Well, I can do it.
He's doing it now.
I'm doing it now. The maid lady. Fuck, we're getting demonished. We are not getting anything for this podcast.
It gets so much better because I would get these texts from random times. I'd occasionally get pictures. I have, needless to say,
Of her?
Oh no, of them.
Oh, that's even worse.
So unsolicited dick pics. This guy. So great.
Sorry about that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Two of them, I did recognize one number and it was Jason.
I was just going to say, I did recognise one penis.
The smallest one.
So,
That looks like Retro Dan.
no. It's not the smallest. It's the most disappointing.
Well, that's my life.
Anyway. So we would get I would get messages and it one time it's called Derailed. One time I'm with a group of friends and I get a message, how much for half hour are you sexy, in super broken English? And
Did it sound like this? How much for half hour? Super sexy.
you could have read it that way.
Fucking gone.
So, that was one thing. But I was with a buddy of mine at the time, and he's a fairly hirsute gentleman like myself, and with a body piercing. Up above the shirt, above the waist.
Because
body
anything's
piercing.
possible right now.
Above the waist body piercing.
Okay.
And I said, can I lift your shirt up for a second? He's like, yeah, why? So I snapped a picture and I sent it back and saying, satisfied, ? Needless to say, did not get another response from that guy.
What about the time we fucked that guy up?
Oh man, it was so we were at the same location one time, and I got one of these messages, and Jason and I were like, well, let's respond. So we had about a half hour back and forth with this guy who was a previous customer, so obviously had got a new burner phone or whatever, and had misdialed the number to text. And we said, okay, meet us at Adelaide Central Station in 40 minutes. Make sure you bring all your gear, and I'll bring a friend.
That's the maid lady.
But perfectly timed.
That's the maid lady, I'm telling you.
And then it was the next day, we got a text, hey, I missed you. What happened? I was like, oh, sorry, new phone, who dis? And the guy's like, it's so-and-so. I was waiting for you for an hour. And it's like, oh, yeah, sorry. You're looking for the hooker. This is not her. This is somebody in another state who has a similar mobile number. And the guy's like, well, fuck me. Thanks for telling me, mate.
What about the guy that asked if you could do 15 minutes with anal, and we responded back, "Are you sure you can last that long?"
That was so good. It's like he was bargaining as well. He's like, hourly rate is this much. How much for 15 minutes? It's like, this isn't fucking haggle. You're not buying a kilo of prawns, mate. Like, come on. So yeah, and I haven't had one for ages, but it's been needless to say.
The number.
I would assume so.
I died of an overdose.
Too much vitamin D. Hey guys, I have a question.
Are we ever going to finish the fucking Ram story?
Why don't we skip the Ram and go straight to the meat of today?
My Ram's going to be quick.
Okay, do it.
Like I am.
I'll play the jingle again. Just
roll it, monkeys.
You know what I'll do?
Roll it.
Put a fucking thing in there going, remember last week's episode? Like a recap. Because fucking nobody's going to follow that.
Several years later.
Okay, I'll do a very quick Ram.
Oh, fuck me.
Right? Like how I...
How long have we been going for?
Yeah, how long's this bullshit
Long
podcast?
enough for me to want to take a piss.
No, well, that's it. Podcast is over.
No, it's not. Oh, it's only been 49 minutes.
Okay,
No,
well,
it's fine. We've got heaps of time.
Something wrong with my
Plenty of
bladder.
time.
We'll keep this very quick. Like I like to keep it.
Name of your sex tape.
Oh. So here we go. So we used to do... Fuck, I can't do it. I can't. 1984, we used to do the barn dancing, and I always used to have a little partner, and her name was Sophie, and we were cool, like we were friends. But here's what happened. One day, the teacher, I'll keep the name out of it, he says, Retro Dan, you and Sophie, you go and do you're going to be partnering up. And you know what she said? I'm not his partner anymore.
What'd you do to her?
That hussy.
What a...
I didn't say it.
Settle down.
I didn't say it.
Hey, whoa.
I didn't say
I
it.
didn't say it either, but you were thinking it.
I've been thinking it for fucking 40 years. Every day. Because she might be
That's at
married
least
with
one word I'm going to have to bleep.
she might be married
He
with
said
kids
crochet.
now. Crochet.
What a crochet.
What a crochet. But she might be married with kids now, and I'd still knock on the door going, why did you stand me up at fucking barn dancing in 1984? That
She's
pissed me
like,
off.
who are you and what are you doing without pants on?
Yeah.
And a broken wrist.
And a lollipop. And I'd be like, well, you know, that really hurt me. And that was really the trend for the rest of my fucking life. That was how things went. And then the teacher goes, what do you mean you don't want to barn dance? I don't want to barn dance with him. And I barn danced with her sister, the twin sister. And she was giving me filthy looks the whole fucking day. I don't understand
The twin or Sophie?
The twin, her sister. Not Sophie.
So Sophie didn't want to dance with you.
No.
You danced with her
I
sister,
danced
the twin.
Yeah.
And the twin was giving you
Yeah, the
goodies.
twin was like... She
giving
was
you
never
greasies.
really keen on me for some reason. I don't know. Because maybe she just felt like she wanted a piece of Retro Dan too. But I was all about the Sophie back then. You know? I was Sophie's choice.
Were they...
You got it. He fucking got it. No, I don't know. He got it.
This is a write-off.
He's cool, man. You know what? I forgot to say, fuck Pottery Pete. Because he never once got any of my jokes.
Nope.
He demanded Skittles.
He demanded Skittles.
Fairy Bread. He demanded everything else. And all he wanted to do was, so when you extrude clay through a pipe, you put it through a little tube.
And the audio guy that he is.
And he was supposed to be the
fucking audio was the worst.
He was the guy that was like, I'll set your audio up. This is fucking beautiful. I'll make sure your audio's okay. And then we listened back to the first podcast like, Pottery Pete, we couldn't hear a fucking word you were saying. You're like,
literally not a word.
you know, like, because what,
Not even
what,
a tiny
Pottery
bit.
Pete.
what the hell was wrong with it? He's bullshit. Fuck, we don't need him anymore. We got fucking Super Simon. Now I'm
Super Simon's the regular
He
now.
understands Sophie Choice. I'm fucking cool with it. But she stood me up, and the teacher had that look on his face, like, what's wrong? You know, like, what's going on there? And I was shattered. Because I didn't have a partner. No one wanted to dance with me, so I had to fucking dance with this kid. It's fucking by myself. It was weird.
Oh, no.
It was weird.
He was the kid that was dancing by himself.
Yeah, and you know what?
Changed in
And
like
it's
the
like,
last
it's
30
okay
years.
if it was the Ramones dancing with myself.
And that's why it's like, I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet and got no rhythm.
Oh,
Fuck
buddy.
barn dancing. So whenever I go to a barn dancing thing, I went to one for a...
Well, hang on.
Wait up, you going to barn dancing?
How
I did
often-
once. Once I did, yeah.
How often after the unfortunate Sophie incident
Yep.
have you then gone to another a barn dance?
Oh, fucking once, maybe. And it was
That's,
for like...
that's amazing.
Yeah.
The fact that you went to another one, good on you.
Yeah, but that was...
We are
You
country,
got back
we are
on that.
country
I'm from the...
before
We're
we
from,
were
we're from the country. Can't
They
you tell?
do have
What are
literal
you
barn
talking
dances.
about? I had no idea.
Yeah, we're from the country. Fucking...
Speak like we come from.
We speak. We're going to go shoot some fucking rabbits now after this. Stick them on our fairy bread.
Oh, there's another Bram right there shooting shit.
Oh, that's no. Save it. Save it. Didn't I put all my
Write
rims in a
it down.
spreadsheet? I put it in a
Write
spreadsheet.
it down. Put it in the cloud.
It's in the fucking spreadsheet. This fucker sat down and typed all of his Rams into a spreadsheet.
Yep, I
No,
did.
originally you had him on a post-it note. Because a dumb fucker doesn't know how to use technology.
Because he says to me, well, have you got your ram ready for today? And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's very good, which it wasn't.
It's
You know what?
fucking
I reckon-
yeah.
And he says, well, where is it? I go, I got it wrote it on a post-it note. He goes, you fucking what? I go, where are they? Oh, and then I go, I can't find my post-it note. And he goes, well, where would it be? I go, I don't know. Maybe I dropped it somewhere. I don't know. And he
Someone's
goes,
going to be walking along. They'll be
What
like
the
at
fuck?
Woolworths, and they'll be like, "Story about time I punched a shark." It's like
no, I killed a dolphin.
sorry, killed a dolphin.
That
No,
one's coming. But I had to get the weak
story
ones.
about time I killed a dolphin. It's like, I want to know that story.
Yeah. But he
You
said,
should any of your Rams that you write down on post-its
should
that
blog
you
it.
lose, put the link to the
No, but
podcast
see-
on them as well.
but see, I had
So
to get,
that we might get random listeners.
but see, well, we got no one. No one's going to listen to this
They're
shit.
going to get like into the first 5 minutes and go, this makes no sense at all.
No one's going to listen to this bullshit podcast.
Listen, man, it's like Rule 34, right?
So what are we talking? We've got half an hour before I'm probably going to have to piss my
Oh,
pants.
you are kidding. Look at that. Man.
Holy
Told you.
shit.
Holy fucking... Let's get on with it. I want to go home. I got shit to do.
You'll have to pan the camera up for that bit.
All right, let's go to the,
The
topic.
table's lifting on one
Let's
side.
let's get serious. Topic of the show is I wanted to talk to you guys because we were chatting upstairs, and we have a difference.
Because we are literally in a garage.
We are in our mum's basement here, and we apologise for the absolute debacle this podcast has
I
been.
actually think it's pretty funny.
No, it's been the worst we've had. The worst, and that's not really says much. 'Cause
It's a clusterfuck at the best of times.
no, this is bad. But I want to talk.
But have you had a good time?
Not really. I want to go
there
home.
you go.
I want to go home and look at that shit on my phone. That's unfucking believable. Now, can I tell you something before we get into the topic of the show? We do have one. If she
Yeah.
looked like the one that I was telling you about it with the red light in the window,
Yeah.
I'd be fucking living there.
You'd be bankrupt.
Oh, there she
she
goes
is.
again. I'd be there every day.
Yeah, you'd be bankrupt.
I'd be there. I'd be walking around with I'd buy a box of those shape biscuits and I'd just be walking around the house going, all right, darling, I'm ready again. That's it.
Just have her on retainer.
I'd book her out for a day. I'd book her for a day. And I'd say to her, all you need to do is just tell me you love me and that you think I'm cool. That's it. And that you won't judge me for my Robotech dolls. So that's just another story.
You'd definitely
We're
be going.
simple
She'd have to go to her place, mate. The second she walked into your place, it's fucking pussy repellent.
Yeah, I live in a place. Can we say it?
Yeah, go nuts.
My place is 100% pussy repellent because it is. Super Simon, it is. Because
My place is pretty bad, but his is fucking stupid.
because I get a lot of like the friends that I have that are ladies.
Yep.
They question. They go, if you ever got yourself sorted out, no girl would like this. They'd walk in and go, you got to get rid of all of it, and I'm like, well, love me, love my shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Look,
but
I think Simon doesn't quite comprehend just how much shit there is.
No, he doesn't. I'll show him. I'll show him later
We'll
on.
show him later
With
on.
Dana and Lisa,
No.
I'm not
Oh,
surprised.
mate.
See,
That ain't
here's
even
the
a
thing.
tip of an
See,
iceberg.
here's the thing. I'm going to move, and I'm
He's
trying
trying to pare down his
I'm
shit.
trying to pare my shit down.
So he's just
And I-
dumping it in my
and
house.
I don't want the removalists to be questioning what they're removing. You know what I mean?
I can't wait to see
You don't
their
want
faces.
you don't want them to look and be like, okay, so we're just gonna get to one box and it's gonna be like ultra fragile, human shaped box.
He's gonna have these big fucking teeth, guys. He's gonna be like, be gentle with that.
It's a collectible.
Let me just.
Can you imagine?
It's not a collectible if you fuck it.
I haven't touched that. It's still.
That one's mint in box.
That's in the
Pedro
box.
might have.
So you can now see that I'm not a complete retard. That's mint.
That is.
And I'll tell you
100%
something
mint.
else. This is how sick the world is. I put that on eBay. I'm telling you now, people will fucking buy that.
Yeah,
I'm telling you now.
guaranteed.
You're the one that went looking for that other fucking...
No, I didn't. That was before.
Space 1990 or whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah, but that's cool shit. The Eagle Lander, the Eagle Transporter. That's.
It's, you know what? It's gonna happen one day. He's gonna come in.
I'm going to buy one.
It's gonna be the first thing that we talk about on the show.
The Eagle,
It's
I'm going to have an.
be,
I will
bought
buy
it, and it's
Fuck it, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm buying an Eagle Transporter. I'm not
Yes.
You can go right
Do
next
it.
to Thunderbird.
No, but I want it in my house so I can play with it. Topic
So,
of the show.
Topic of the show.
I want to
Yep.
talk about current trends in gaming. We have a difference of opinion.
Not really.
Well, kind of, sort of. I don't really agree with everything you're saying, and that's fine. We can talk about that. But we want to talk about trends in gaming that we're not actually happy with. And there's quite a few. Now, off the bat, I'll say things like the excessive amount of games that seem to be catering for the games as services market, which is a lot of money. I get it.
Yep.
I get why publishers are doing it and developers are doing it because there's a lot of money to be made in it. So, but it doesn't mean I actually necessarily like it. Okay, so there's that. I still struggle, even though it's now widely accepted with DLC, downloadable content.
Yep,
Everyone's
shits me
forgotten
to
what it
tears.
stands for.
Yep.
I
But-
liked the days when you bought a game
And it was complete.
and it was a finished game.
That's that's how I grew up with it.
Instead of it now where it's a case of, oh, you buy the game, great, you spent your $70 to $90 to $120 depending on whatever version you get, and then you have to buy the fucking season pass that gives you extra stuff that should already be in the game for the next 12 months. So you've got continuous content. It's like, fuck
Well, the other
you.
thing as well, I don't...
just
Yeah.
fucking release the game
And give me all the
and
content
give
up
me all
front.
the things that I've paid for, and that's it. That's not the mentality that they have.
And I
nowadays.
lose interest, right?
Yeah.
So even if I were to pay the extra premium to have that pass for the rest of the season pass, I'm fucking bored of a game after 2 weeks.
Well, this is the thing, right? They say you've got 12 months of content
not
coming
interested.
at you.
Not interested.
And unless it's... And they usually stagger it quarterly.
Hmm.
Usually. There are some that do a reasonable job and do it monthly, which is at least it's trickle feeding you and it's just getting you to continue suckling at that game's teat. But let's take Batman Arkham Knight.
That was a
for
terrible
example.
game.
The game, like the first two games in the series, phenomenal.
Yeah, but
fantastic.
Night was terrible.
Night was shit.
Yep.
They were so bogged down on the fucking Batmobile.
Yep, I hated
which
the Batmobile.
moved like a, mentally degraded sloth.
Yep. Here we go.
And
Here we fucking go.
and here was the thing that was the most frustrating about it. Part of the DLC was you got skins for Batman, you got 20-minute long add-on levels for Joker and Harley and Robin and Batgirl, whatever else. They were mediocre at best. And then you had skins for the Batmobile. So you could drive, and which I loved. I loved that you could change the Batmobile to look like the 66 Batmobile, the 89 Batmobile, which is my all-time favorite, and the Tumbler. So they made it look like you literally were driving a model of that car in the game as Batman. And it was amazing. But the core functionality of the game meant that you could not drive the 89 Batmobile because it didn't transform into the fucking Bat Tank. So it meant that here's the DLC you've paid for. Here is the shit that you've spent your money on. You've got this season pass that is basically tits on a ball useless. And you've got this completely unusable piece of add-on. It's like, why the fuck did they bother? What is the actual point?
She's making me look good.
I've had this on my chest for such a long time, and when you guys said that this was the topic today, and I'm like, thank you, Nerd Rage.
Yeah, let it out.
Let it out.
I'm with you. I mean, I obviously when I first started gaming way back, you bought the game and you didn't have any updates for that game.
It was complete.
It was on a cartridge. I'm talking about the Atari 2600.
Yep.
It was on a cartridge. There were no updates. It came complete. It wasn't broken. Some games were, but it wasn't broken.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, this came down to quality control back there.
Well, Nintendo were notoriously famous for it because the NES, they had stipulations that developers could only release 2 games in a year.
Yep.
And it had to have that Nintendo seal of quality seal, which they used to proudly display on their boxes. And the NES was
one of the nicest things to see on a video game. You had that beautiful embossed
you believed
gold
it, right?
stand. You did.
Yeah.
You as the consumer saw that as a quality tick from the company.
Yep.
Nintendo said, this game is good to go on our system. You can buy it and play it and you'll enjoy it.
Yep.
Mostly.
And that's what made Nintendo very successful back in the 80s because they were pumping out games of high quality. And I talked about last week how the Dreamcast and the Sega, a lot of their failings were they were pumping out games that weren't necessarily of high quality, but it was more quantity versus quality. And so I agree with you. My concern about the modern era is that games come out, you know that DLC is coming, and I think I'm going to say 80% of people don't give a shit anymore. We've been trained like Pavlov's dogs.
Pavlov's dogs, yep.
That basically it's okay to accept DLC. In fact, you'd assume most games now are going to have DLC, right?
Yep.
And we've all lived with it. And some games, it actually is added to the experience, like The Witcher 3, for example.
That was the only example I was going to give you, right?
That was one of the ones that I was going to bring up, is that the Witcher add-ons were some of the best additional content in period.
It's some of the best I've ever played.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe it came out for Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Nightmare.
Yeah, that was good too. Yeah.
That's what DLC should be.
Yep.
It shouldn't just be a new skin or a new gun or a new map. It should be additional.
Just a whole new storyline.
Yeah, I think CD Projekt Red are definitely the masters of not taking the piss.
Yeah.
You know, because I can remember buying The Witcher 3 for the PS4 and it had a beautiful map in there and it had wonderful different, thank you from the team and all this sort of stuff. And they had fantastic DLC, but arguably that's because they're masters of their own domain. They're not run by a publisher like EA or
they're not run by Activision.
No,
they're not
or
run
Activision.
by Ubisoft.
No.
And Ubisoft are prime candidates for Dickhead of the Week. Like, we know EA is at the top.
Well, EA,
Ubisoft are like right under there sniffing their nuts.
Yeah.
Because you look at the latest Assassin's Creed.
Oh, I've got major issues with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
And for another day, I will tell you about my absolute disdain for Assassin's Creed.
Because I want to
3.
talk with you, even if I have to book more of your time.
Absolutely.
Games that disappointed the shit out of us.
Ooh, I would totally be up for that.
And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is up there with me. And I get to the point now where I'm like, what fucking game were you playing, IGN? What game were you playing, GameSpot? Because it wasn't what I was playing. Because that game was not good, in my opinion. But I get the point now that you've got to live with DLC. I don't like it, but it's something that you do. And they're kind of, some of them, 9 times out of 10, aren't ramming it down your throat. You can play the game and it doesn't ruin the experience of the game. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it fucking did.
Yep.
And I don't care what anyone says. I don't give a shit what IGN says. I don't care what Michael Pachter says. They can all go get fucked. And you can quote me on that fucking internet. Because that was bullshit. Because if you didn't buy the expansions of Odyssey to make the leveling up system usable, that game was a grinding fuckfest. I'm telling you, it was terrible.
That's one of the things that really It's like with Battlefront. Battlefront is a prime example of a magnificent looking game. Stunning visuals, amazing play, but the whole concept of loot boxes and timed DLC? Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you expect people to enjoy something having just paid full whack for it, then having to pay an additional up to $120 in some circumstances to pay to win? What is the fucking point?
Well, I've never understood why companies chase the dragon on time DLC, because I don't think it really matters to the average person. I don't think they give a shit that Sony's got Call of Duty content before Microsoft has Call of Duty content.
It's a bargaining tool.
It is, but I think it's more of something that they can fill the gaps in at an E3 conference more than anything else. They don't have anything else to talk about, but they do suddenly have something to talk about. Hey, look, we've got, play it first on PlayStation, and I think that's bullshit myself. I don't see how that gives value, but somebody must be crunching the numbers somewhere and going, we definitely get return on our investment, but I don't see it.
The difference is if they're doing a full exclusive, you take God of War, you take Spider-Man on this is just for the PS4, on Xbox, you've got Gears of War, you've got Halo. Having dedicated exclusive titles to that console is what helps sell consoles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what helps sell those games.
Because people buy the franchise.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, one of the reasons why I totally agree with that is that, I think Microsoft, they've done a great job turning the ship around when they first launched the Xbox One, but they would have done an even better job if they had more studios online pumping out exclusive games. Now,
not just ones that they own.
Exactly. Now they've addressed that now, but I'm still very doubtful about the quality of those studios. Yeah. But they've at least addressed it. But I think if they had what Sony had back in the PS3 era, where they turned the ship around because they've got better game, they've got amazing titles that you can only play on the PlayStation 3 back in those days. I told the story last week how the PS3 is one of my favorite consoles of all time, because I was getting experiences that I wasn't getting anywhere else.
100%.
And the 360 was kind of like going out with a whimper, because I was, fuck Halo again. Fuck Gears of War again. Yeah, they're fun, but they're just the same shit.
Experience over again.
And
when the first ones came out,
amazing.
When I have to sidetrack for 1 second, because when you were talking, I was listening to the podcast when you were talking about it. When Gears came out, I had one of the best gaming experiences I'd had in ages, since Resident Evil 4. I was sitting with my friend at the edge of my bed in my room. We had the TV set up, we had the Xbox blaring full surround sound, and my girlfriend at the time was asleep in the bed while we are like jumping and yelling and like fucking having the best time, and she is just sleeping straight through it. It was amazing. And here is a game that gives you giant beefy dudes. This game is toxic masculinity.
It's a dude bro shooter, man.
It is. Yeah. And machine guns that take, that have fucking chainsaws on them.
It's great.
And then enemies that are so equally beefy that take 180 to 240 rounds to kill.
Well, this is what's amazing.
Especially if you time your reloads correctly.
Gears of War, that's another topic for another day, because I agree, that's a very special game in my heart, only because that was one of the first games that I played co-op on Xbox Live on the 360 at least. And at the time, I remember I bought a special edition of Gears of War that came with a DVD that had Cliffy B walking around doing a documentary.
God, I miss that guy.
Well, I was about to say, I can't believe, and if you go back in 2006 and you told yourself that Cliffy B would walk, in 2018 and say he's leaving, he's fucking leaving. Done. He's not making any more games now, because Lawbreakers was...
You would laugh your arse off.
You would. Because Cliffy B was kind of like the Prince apparent, like the heir to the throne. He was like the prince, because he was a young guy. He was kind of like cool. And on the DVD, it's a fucking cracker, because he walks around and he's in a meeting going, we need to make the chainsaw have more blood on it. That was his job, And he had a legend. He had a hot fucking girlfriend too, because she's in there as well. And but he was like the dude that you would think was going to be like a Kojima. That's what I felt. Yeah. He was going to be the next Kojima, but I can't believe that everything just went so wrong for him. And you know what? Microsoft kind of fucked him too, I think. But Gears of War was a very special game. But those days back then, and
you bought the game.
You bought the game.
And
that's it.
That was the whole
thing.
It
was a complete experience.
That's right.
Exactly. You bought the and yes, with subsequent games, they fell into the DLC patch because that is what the industry does now.
Yeah,
it's what is expected, and it's how they can continually driving revenue out of a title.
Yep.
And this is how I can live with DLC. And I know it's very controversial, but I actually can live with it now because I'm like, well, if it's like Witcher 3 and they give me more of a fantastic experience, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know I'm not going to get a Witcher 4 for a long time. So I'll take
They have to do the TV series on Netflix first.
That's another fucking jeez, what another debacle. But they're going to give me a bit more of something that I love, and so I actually didn't mind. I don't mind DLC now.
Yeah.
I can live with it, and I don't think DLC is controversial like it was back in say 2011, 2012. People have accepted it. I think
it is more accepted. It's still a real fuck you to the old gamers.
a little bit,
And admittedly, they're the old guard gamers, the guys that I'm not talking the toxic gamers. I'm talking the traditionalists, the guys who loved it, and the people who loved it, that grew up on things like Diablo, grew up on Baldur's Gate.
Oh,
When you play a game. And you play that game and you finish it and you go back and you replay.
Exactly.
You go and do the cow run.
Yep.
And then you get the battle chest that has the additional content, that proper quality add-on. That is what the DLC of today is lacking from the DLC of yesterday.
Yeah, but a lot of this has come about from the interconnectivity or the connectivity of consoles and PCs to the net.
Yep.
Because that's brought a lot of benefits, like friends lists and party chats and invites to games and all that sort of stuff. But that's actually brought about some negative impacts on the industry, in my opinion, as well. And one of those was DLC initially, because when DLC started to come, the 7th gen consoles like the PS3 and the Xbox 360, they were the first that had DLC, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, no, you're
at least
pretty spot on.
At least ad hoc or ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Where you were almost getting nearly every game or AAA game as having some form of expansion, right? And then you would never have believed back in those days that an indie game would get expansion, but fucking Shovel Knight's getting something, right?
Yeah.
And so you're now almost like, yeah, well, I expect it. So the very advantages that came with those consoles being connected to the net have brought about some negatives as well, right? But you know what? As you go on and further and the audience gets younger and younger and they grow up with it, they don't question it. And that's why we're now in this position now where people go... It
becomes the norm.
Exactly. So for me, that I'm an old person, with a fucking wheelchair and all that bullshit, I remember back in the day... There she is, man. I remember back in the day where I bought the game, I took it home, I didn't need to update it.
Nope, straight out of the box.
Day one updates can go fuck themselves.
Day one updates I've got two pet peeves. Day one updates are my big one. Because when I did the fucking midnight launch of Red Dead Redemption with Old Mate, which is a story for another time.
That's a ram.
Come home and literally I had to put the fucking disc in and I could not play it until 2 days later.
But see,
because the internet here is fucking just abysmal.
That has got to be the definition of gaming blue balls.
Yeah. But see, the answer that the developers will give you is that, but we've given you more complex experiences, and that comes with more
what it does is
and
you're given deadlines to get shit out the door.
It is,
and you have not had time to get that to what was once a gold CD standard, where it would be pressed based on the shit that was on that final version.
Yep.
Off you go. Because the expectation is you can actually update this.
Because they know, and this is why I will defend Microsoft to some extent. They know that 99.9% of machines are connected to the net.
Of course.
And that's why Microsoft said, you fuckers are all doing it on the 360. What's the problem with doing it on the Xbox One? But they did it in a really bad way. They explained it in a really bad way. And they had other things tied up with it that people didn't like. And I get it. But the complexity has given us this, we'll download, we know it's fucked, but everyone has to sign on to the internet and download it. So what about those that aren't signing on to the internet? That means they've got a gimped version of the game, I would assume. There's got to be a bug in that game at some point that needs to be patched. That could be a game breaker. So they're almost saying you have to be connected to the net.
You have to be connected to the net because you could play this and it could fuck your save.
This is the whole thing. This is the double-edged sword of the modern gaming ecosystem, is that you can not play online. You can play completely isolated from the net, but doing that comes with its own risks. It means that you don't have access to the latest version, the latest updates, bug fixes, patches, changes in structure to make the game more balanced, like that sort of stuff. I remember that it happened with Smash Brothers on the Wii U. Little Mac was a new character, and he was so OP, it was fucking ridiculous. So what happened was, people, like, all of the online play, which was Nintendo's attempt at...
No, it's still terrible.
It was like, it was held together by chewing gum and matchsticks, and it was just
cute.
fucking garbage. But anyway, the idea with it is that every single person playing, like anybody who was of a reasonable level online, was playing Little Mac, and you couldn't get a fucking win. You tried going in with Link or Mario or any of the other 60 characters, you were absolutely fucking obliterated in the first 10 seconds. So then, first of all, you couldn't do that online. You couldn't play with your friends online if you were offline, obviously. But then with that updates, as they worked out this stuff and they listened to community feedback, they nerfed the character and made it much more balanced. That's where it becomes this double edge. That's where it becomes this idea of, if something's fucked and people are not enjoying it, or they're exploiting it to a point that people are losing interest in the game, they can rebalance it, they can fix it, and they can make it better.
See, my argument is they should have done that beforehand.
Correct. That is the other problem, is that, as you mentioned, with deadlines for games being tighter and release windows being as important, they're like movie releases.
Yep.
You know, they're tracking the sales of games a lot more closely than they ever used to.
Which is why I have so much respect for people like Rockstar and CD Projekt Red. They go, fuck you, we'll release this when it's done.
Yeah, but
when it is ready to be played.
But they have also. I want to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 at some point.
I think it's overrated. Oh fuck, we could talk about that.
No.
Fuck me. If I have to ride one more horse,
I don't want to. I want to talk about that in more detail. But I think that they're not.
Well, that's one of my pet peeves. No, that's one of my pet peeves for games of this. Things or trends in games right now, they assume that I've got a fuck ton of time to play a game every night. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I like to be able to log on and play it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour max, and be able to complete a mission. Whereas Red Dead didn't let me do that, because it had fucking well dropped me off in the middle of nowhere, and I had to do an hour horse ride to get back anywhere. That shit annoys me.
I do agree with. I spoke to Pedro about this, and he actually put it probably the best of anyone that I've spoken to about it. And he said that it doesn't respect your time.
Doesn't respect your time.
And I don't disagree with that.
And there are more games that do that. Yeah. That just do not respect your time.
But it's a double-edged sword, as Super Simon said. What do you want? Do you want an indie game, or do you want a blockbuster AAA game? And my issue with games now is that, I know it's not an apples comparison, but it's like when you go to the movies and you sit and watch a movie and they go, imagine if you went and watched the movie and they said, oh, sorry, you can only watch 3/4 of it because guess what? We're still fixing the end of it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't work. Or you go and buy a car and you drive out the driveway in your new car and you put your foot on the brake and they go, oh, sorry, we'll put that in later. You know, like...
it's like you go to see a movie and this is the DLC argument. It's like, oh, would all gold member subscribers please continue watching, and anybody silver or lower,
go fuck yourself.
Get out.
Yeah.
You don't get to see this part of the movie. It's like, if they did that if the game industry was like the movie industry, there would be revolt. People would riot.
Yeah.
But we were saying before, just to tangent off, about release and quality and whatever else. I was super proud of Nintendo the other week, where they, I think, was head of production for the latest Metroid game, Metroid Prime 4. Yeah. They have said that the game was not up to their standard.
They binned it.
And they binned 2 years worth of production in a game.
Good.
Because the game was not good enough.
Yeah.
And half of me was like, oh, that's bullshit. I'm not going to get to play this game for another 2 years.
But the other half of me is
like,
one less thing to rant about.
That is Nintendo doing what Nintendo do best.
And this is where this is where one of the things that it's really helped Sony dominate, is the fact that 9 times out of 10 their AAA exclusive games have been high quality. Flawless, right?
Very close to
Whereas
it.
I've played pretty much nearly every Xbox One exclusive game and they're fucking shit. I'm not being funny. Like, they're 9 times out of 10, they're shit, right?
No argument, man.
And I'm just saying, like, that's the fucking difference. You could say that
What are the Xbox exclusives other than Gears
Forza.
and Halo and
Recall, Quantum
was
Break
Recall?
was all right. Quantum Break.
Quantum Break was ordinary.
Recall was like a third person, kind of sort of open world, but not sort of open
Not
world.
really worth the effort.
Never
You get-
heard of it.
You get like orbs and
There's a
shit
reason,
like that.
there's a
Yeah.
reason for it.
Right.
I knew of Sunset Overdrive.
So that's the best one.
that one was fun.
That's the best one.
I had a dig at that. That
Quantum
was pretty
Break's
cool.
not bad, but Quantum Break was developed in the era that Microsoft was going towards the multimedia situation, where it had
They're
like
trying to show off the.
it had like movies
Yeah.
between the game, and you actually watched 20 minutes of movie before you played the game. But I actually didn't mind Quantum Break. Sunset Overdrive is the best game on the thing. They had Gears
4 and then 5 is coming.
5's coming. They had Halo 5. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. It was shit. Made
I
no
did not
sense.
enjoy Halo 5
No.
at all.
Didn't
It was
like
like Team Reach versus
Yep.
Team
Yep.
Osiris.
Yep. Didn't
Garbage.
rate it.
Didn't
rate it.
enjoy it.
I really believe, and I know they've had Ori and the Willow,
Yep.
Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm not a platform guy, but
Yep.
I
Except for
understand.
Zillia.
I understand, except for Zelio, but I understand why people like that game. I do.
Oh
get-
yeah, absolutely. The
I do-
artwork's beautiful.
I do get
Yeah,
it.
I get it.
but it's not for me.
It's not your genre. Yeah.
But there's others that are out there. I know.
Yeah.
I'm missing a whole bunch of them, but they're generally speaking, they've only had maybe one or two hits and a lot of misses.
So here's where it's interesting. As somebody who is into video games and interested in the medium, and who is very much a person who's interested in learning about games and things, I only picked up about 3 of those titles that weren't massive sequels. Whereas if you talk PlayStation, you can talk all the Kojima games. You can talk God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted. What else have we got?
Last of Us will come. At
Last of Us.
That's a week off work. That one.
Those are huge exclusives that have not just been great games, but games that were that made you think, that made you really enjoy the experience.
Even
they're not just another Halo or another Gears of War.
even their runts of the litter, like I still liked it. Was Infamous Second Son. I still liked it.
Infamous
I still
Second Son was a fantastic
I liked it.
game.
They've
That was
got-
a launch title, basically.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Days Gone, which comes out in April.
Days Gone, another really interesting
That looks
looking
interesting.
game. Survival zombie horror with scavenger
Yeah,
elements.
it might not be
could
my
possibly be
might-
bad with that?
Yeah.
might not be
I'll
my
play
cup of tea, but I can see that it's definitely going to be of high quality.
But this is the difference. The quality that Sony put into their exclusive titles and the time and the effort and energy that goes into them is visible.
Yeah.
And you can see that. And that's a trend in gaming that really gives me the shits, is rushing out big title games. Like Call of Duty is becoming a yearly game.
Well, they've got 3 developers helping to pump them out. You've got
But that's exactly it. You have 3 developers making one mediocre at
Make
best
some
game
new IP.
that is now, and here's the fuck you that's the biggest fuck you. The new Call of Duty is going to be a goddamn battle royale.
I've got it. You mean it's Black Ops 4?
Yeah, Blops.
Yeah.
Blops 4.
Yeah.
Blops.
I've actually played it with a couple of friends on Xbox One. I personally don't mind the what do you call it? Blackout? What do they call it? The battle royale.
Yeah.
Whatever. I actually think it's fun, but I only bought it because I'm stupid and I've got nothing better to do with my life as I'm watching the red light go on and off at the next door neighbour's house. Roxanne. But this is a worrying trend too, because now they've got very good sales with that version of Call of Duty, and I'm sure
Guess what next Blops 5 is going to be? Or
exactly.
Or Advanced Warfare 36.
It's going to be.
Exactly.
It becomes cookie cutter.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And this is where the gaming innovation dies. Where Fortnite,
Give me the storytelling.
Fortnite started as a survival game. You built a fort and you survived against waves of zombies, which was a fairly basic concept. And then its offshoot as a mode in that was the Battle Royale. And then PUBG came out, and they were both basically the same game. PUBG was slightly more updated as far as graphics and realism and whatever else. And then everybody realized, holy shit, if you're not making a Battle Royale game, you suck.
Well, Fortnite was the big
Fortnite was the big draw card because it was free.
moment. Yeah.
They worked a model that this is the in-app.
Well, you know
purchase
what it
model.
was with Fortnite? It really appealed to kids. because it had that cartoony.
Yeah.
Well, it's free to
It wasn't
play, right?
ultra violent.
Yeah.
And
it also was polished. Where PUBG was never polished.
That's true.
Particularly when it got to the
Fortnite
Xbox One,
looked
it was
the
a fuck.
business.
Yeah, when it got to the Xbox One, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Right, but Microsoft needed an exclusive, so they basically jumped into bed. And I actually think they're going to regret that now because guess what? PUBG is not the spoken word. If you go, you know what the real barometer test is? When you go to Twitch,
Yeah.
and you don't just go watch the fucking maid lady,
Which is all we do.
which is all I ever do. You go on there and you look at what the most popular
games are.
games are,
Fortnite,
and
It's like
Fortnite's
Fortnite,
right up there.
Overwatch, and this new one that came out.
Oh,
last
that's
week.
that Apex.
Yeah.
Apex.
Yeah.
Nation.
You and I both know some people that play Overwatch like fucking crazy.
That is true. That is
See, I
very
don't get
true.
these games at all, and this is a trend that I don't understand. Is that I'm not
into it. I'm not into
Yeah,
multiplayer and
no.
flat
But
out.
see, we grew up in a time when you didn't
Give
play.
me an individual single player experience
with the occasional LAN party thrown in. Just
Yeah.
with the
for the
occasional LAN party thrown in.
where everybody schleps their computers to
Yep.
one person's house.
That's
Yep.
it.
They're all
that's it.
cabled up.
Yeah.
Everybody's
That's it.
got their screen and their keyboard and their mouse.
I just don't want some.
Fuck, I miss those days.
Yeah,
good
mate, that was a
days.
good day. But I don't like going into a game and having it spoilt by people running around shooting my ass and then screaming in my ear with their fucking bollocks. That
is
shit
by
annoys
far
me.
the worst part of gaming nowadays is having to hear other people fucking speak.
Yep. Shut
Because-
the fuck up and
Well,
let me
you
play
can
my
The
game.
first thing I do whenever I do anything remotely online related for gaming is mute
Mute- I
all
was just gonna say,
Mute all
participants,
participants. That's
mute
it.
myself so that they don't have to. They
Yeah.
don't want to listen to
Yeah.
me go
Yeah.
fuck under my breath every 20 seconds
Everybody gets
because I've just
shot.
been headshot
Or they're
from
telling you-
halfway across
or they're
the
telling
fucking
you
map.
that, or they're telling you that they've done something to your mum. That's something I don't really.
Hey,
want
It's like
man.
I just
Yeah.
fornicated
Fuck
with
you.
your matriarch.
Go fuck yourself.
It's like, mate,
Not into it.
Shut
Not
up.
into it.
No, but unfortunately, these are trends that make money.
this
course
is
they
the,
do.
this is
Right.
the problem.
And this is
the problem.
what
And you look at Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they're going to be like, huh, what's all this making money business?
I'm gonna say that Sony's the only one, and probably Nintendo as well, that are looking at it and saying we've made a lot of money on our single player story driven content. It may have like Last of Us is a classic example, and so is Uncharted.
It had
where
it chucked on.
It had it chucked on.
mode,
Yep.
and it was fine, but
Yep.
it wasn't the core
Yeah,
function.
and
of the
people got a
game.
lot of fun out of
Yeah.
it, but
Yep.
but people really played it for the game,
Yeah.
the story component of the game, and so that's where I think, and it's refreshing to see Sony make statements like they have in the last couple of weeks, saying we want to we're betting our horse on the single story
Yeah.
experience because that makes me happy because I'm not the guy that wants to be playing battle royale games every 5 minutes and all the other stuff that's going on. Like I can deal, and see, I'm a hypocrite too because I can deal with the DLC now. So if I get The Last of Us, which did have DLC for it, I'm like, you know what? I'm happy to see that. How many have we been running for this bullshit?
1
pocket?
hour, 1 hour 40 in this fucking cluster.
1 hour 40. You know what that means?
I'm busting for a piss.
I'm
for a
busting for a
piss.
piss.
Yeah, we'll continue this conversation.
No, one
Yeah.
last question because I think we've covered the trends. One thing I want to throw at you guys is streaming because everyone's getting on the
Game
bandwagon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, overnight or the day before, Sony's come out and said that they don't see their future purely in streaming. They see it in dedicated hardware. You say it's a mistake. I actually think it's smart.
I think maybe for this generation, I think
I think
find
it's
both,
fucking smart.
No, I think both Sony and Microsoft will have something that is a hardcore gaming system for one more generation. But under the hood, and the future of gaming is streaming, and it all basically comes down to money. You know, it is far easier and more effective for game developers to deploy once to some cloud-based environment and have that stream through than it is for them to be trying to push that out to end consumers.
That then creates the Netflix for gaming,
Yes.
which is great, and each console provider will have their option.
And we're not even talking about
And-
consoles.
Well,
At this point, we're not talking about consoles.
Well,
we're talking essentially
any
a
device.
set-top box or your phone.
Any device, mate.
But the caveat to that is, in countries like Australia, where we have rank 59th worst internet in the world,
That is true.
it's all very well and good to say the future of gaming is streaming.
Yeah,
But then how, as a country, when we can't even get our own
Well, I'll be
internet
upfront.
up to
I'm
standard?
a big fan of Game Pass, which Microsoft's put out on the Xbox One. I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic.
But you download that game to your system, right?
But I would also be in the fortunate position, and I'd also be a big fan if PS Now was here because I would
Play the shit out of
because you
that.
can now download games on PS Now from PS4 games, but the PS3 you can't. You got to stream them. But I'd be like, you know what, fuck it, I will give it a go, because there are a lot of like I love my PS3 to death, and I still play it to this very day. I'm halfway through Mass Effect 2. Shout out to Miranda, right? I've been trying to
One of your first game lady loves.
I've been seducing Miranda like a little puppy.
I will say this very quickly as something that irritates the shit out of me in gaming. Dedicated storage being tiny or garbage. You have the PS Pro that's got a 500 gig or 1 terabyte hard drive, not SSD, not even 5400 RPM drives. They're shit slow drives. They take ages to download stuff because of the PS network. But then also the Switch are the biggest culprits of this.
The 32 gigs, yeah.
You can take up to a 4 terabyte SD card, which is great when they eventually materialize and aren't
magically
several $1,000s.
Yeah.
But to have 32 gig as your internal storage for a main release console is fucking criminal.
That's the big.
It is criminal.
That's the big chink in the armor for the Switch.
Correct.
And in relation to the hard drive size, I've actually put external hard drives for both my Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro. Wouldn't it be so nice?
Wouldn't it be lovely if these console makers take that little extra bit of effort, instead of putting in a 500 gig hard drive or a 1 terabyte drive that is slow, they put a better quality drive in. No. I know it's cost. I know SSD is expensive, and they want to keep the cost of the console down. I understand all that. Then make it easy for us.
Here's what I think's going to happen. Here's my prediction.
Go on.
Apparently, Microsoft want to release something called codename Barracuda under the Scarlet banner. And that's going to be like the premium...
The beast
of machine. And you can also then buy a really cheap machine.
Right.
That's just slightly better than an Xbox One X, right? And then you've got a streaming box. They're the three that come underneath the Scarlet umbrella, apparently. That's the rumor. And I think what they'll do...
That's the other thing. The trend of giving names, product names, like pre-product names, dumb names. Project Scarlet.
I think it's probably someone's daughter on the Microsoft team, and you've just defended that person.
Well, fuck you. That's a dumb it's a dumb name.
Yeah. I think it's a nice name for a girl. Scarlet.
No, it's a lovely name for a girl, but it's a dumb name for a console pre-release.
Oh, Scarlet.
Oh, Project Scarlet.
Now,
how lovely.
Now we're offending somebody else.
Now we're going to have Project Fuchsia. It'll be the next one.
No.
Fuchsia.
So very, very quickly, because I am busting for a piss to wrap up the show.
Mate, I'm going to piss my pants.
What I think's going to happen is that I think...
Oh, there's the puddle.
I think Scarlet and the Barracuda, which is this premium device, will have probably a 2 terabyte drive. SSD's still too expensive. So it'll have 2 terabyte because with 4K gaming and 4K assets, you're going to need more storage on your drive. And I think Sony with their PS5 will do the same. They'll have at least a 2 terabyte drive in it. It'll be mechanical. It won't be an SSD.
The fact that games don't run off disk anymore, in that you need to install the game to your console to play it, and then you still, for whatever reason, need to have the disk in the drive to make it's like an activation key.
Yeah, it's an activation key.
But and each game, like, they're pushing the bounds of Blu-rays. Blu-rays are what, 200 gig now? Up to in some cases.
Yeah, the double density ones or whatever they are. Yeah,
they're actually pushing the boundaries.
They're at the limit of physical medium. But then also it's a case of having a 2 terabyte hard drive. But if a game is 400 gig,
well, Microsoft's going to dip
whatever ludicrous amount the
Microsoft
games are getting.
Rumored to be dipping their toe in the water, and what they're planning to do this year, this is a rumor, is to release a diskless Xbox One. And so that'll be...
So you're forced to
only buy digital downloads.
I think the way that it'll go, though, is it'll be hybrid. So like the way that you do server infrastructure where you'll have hybrid cloud, the box will run some of the hardcore compute function, but the majority of the storage will happen up in the cloud. So it's going to call upon assets up in the cloud.
Do edge computing.
They're going to do edge computing.
That's actually very clever.
So that's the way if I was designing the architecture, that's probably the way that I would look at it.
Sony can't do it, mate. We can't even change our PSN names. I fucking created my account in 2007.
You still can't change it.
I still can't.
That is the best callback. That is the best thing.
God,
Sony, for the love of God, if anybody out there is listening and knows how to talk to Sony,
we know how to do it.
Please,
they know how to do it now.
Make it easy. Make it not difficult.
It's in beta.
It's in beta.
No, it's in beta. You can. No, I'm not bullshitting. You can. There are now. It's in beta to change the PSN names.
That is.
But it's gone very quiet. Gosh. You know why? Because I bet you someone changed their name to like Ask Liquor 69, and the PSN, God bless it,
crashed.
which is just glued by fucking sticky tape and fucking post-it notes, has gone, oh, you can't do that.
How fucked up does your directory structure need to be that you can't even allow people to change their username?
Well,
that shit is mental.
Look, when they launched PSN with a PS3, they made a lot of mistakes.
No
and
shit.
they're still living with those mistakes to this very day.
Just the way they are. Yeah.
But I'll
they
give,
haven't updated.
but I'll give
Jesus.
credit where credit's due. If you've sold 94 or 95 or 96 million units of PS4s, you could have just said to everyone, go fuck yourself. You can be Arslicker 69 for the rest of your life. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that.
That's true.
They didn't do that.
You have to give them credit that they actually said, you know what, we'll back down on this thing.
Mm-hmm. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And even better, I'll throw stones where I need to, but I'll give credit where I also need to give credit. They're not going to charge PSN Plus subscribers for the change of name either. You get your first one for free, and you get your second one for $5.
First taste is free.
Fucking Microsoft charges you $10.
Which is that's bullshit.
So they could have been pricks. They could have said,
you want to change
you
your
want
name?
to change it, here's $10. You know what I mean? But they didn't do that. So I'll give credit where credit's due. But very briefly, I actually see next gen being very much the same as it is this gen.
Yep.
I don't see streaming being...
I think you see Microsoft will push more and more into the hybrid.
You know what the litmus test will be? It's going to be this discless Xbox One.
Yeah, the hybrid.
If this hybrid machine... If it works and people buy it, Microsoft will go balls deep. They'll go fucking balls...
Just think about the way... Just how powerful hybrid cloud is and edge computing really is.
Yeah.
It is the way that most of the architecture that in any big company, how they run their stuff, right?
Correct.
It is phenomenal, the power that you can produce. Because you can do a lot of the rendering shit
You know
up in
what?
the
I
cloud.
heard this before, and it was called Crackdown 3. You can go fuck yourself. Crackdown 3 looks like ass. You know what? I'm busting for a piss. Let's wrap this bad boy up. This has been Invert the Why Podcast, episode number 7, the worst episode ever. Don't subscribe. Don't
Unsubscribe.
rate.
This is fucking garbage.
The worst. That was the worst fucking RAM I've ever had. That was fucking
That
lame.
RAM was not funny.
But you know what? That's my life. Rejection. That was the first level of rejection.
You know what's going to
I
happen?
got.
Second level of rejection?
What?
People unsubscribing from the podcast.
Don't give a fuck. I'm used to it. Thanks for being part of the show. Thanks for the fairy bread, Mum, and thank you for letting us use your garage. We love you all. No, we really don't. We can't be bothered. We're fucking indifferent. But you know what? This has been Invert the Why Podcast, episode 7. We are out. Roll the credits, monkeys. Click.